You ever have one of those moments where your phone lights up? You see a headline, and you have to double check if it's April Fool's Day? Yeah. That was me this morning. Except it's not April. And the BBC has just dropped something that has the fandom vibrating like a TARDIS console about to explode. A surprise Doctor Who announcement. In the middle of August, with 0 leaks ahead of time. That doesn't just happen. When the BBC plays it this close to the chest, it means one of two things. Either they're covering a crisis, or they're setting up something huge. And what's wild is, this could change how we see the entire future of the show. We're talking casting, story arcs, even which Doctor will be following when season 16 hits. Because, buried under all the official excitement, there's something the BBC isn't spelling out. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into. Now, I know some of you are already typing in the comments, James, chill out, they're just making an announcement, not detonating a neutron star. But if you've been with me on this channel for a while, you know, the weirder the timing, the bigger the reveal. And trust me, we've seen this exact move before, right before a major shake-up. Yes, there's a new Doctor Who announcement. Yes, it's officially confirmed by the BBC. No, it's not the Disney deal update, and no, it's not just about a spin-off release date. This is bigger. And the fact that they're being vague about it, that's where the tension kicks in. Because if the official statement is the tip of the iceberg, what's lurking underneath could be the kind of forbidden knowledge the BBC really doesn't want fans piecing together yet. So, let's get straight to it. But before we dive deep, if you're the kind of person who doesn't just watch Doctor Who but wants to know the real story behind what's coming next, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. That's not me fishing for numbers. That's me making sure you're not the person who finds out 3 months late, when everyone else is already screaming about it on Twitter. Alright, now here's the problem. The official wording of this announcement is suspicious. On paper, it sounds exciting, positive, even celebratory. But read it again, slowly, and you start to notice what's not being said. It's like they're avoiding certain words. And if you've been following the behind the scenes chatter, the leaks, the casting whispers, those absences speak louder than the headline itself. There's a new production schedule change, a hint about a special project, and a suspiciously vague comment about welcoming back familiar faces. Notice they didn't say characters, they said faces. And in Doctor Who language, that's a loaded term. Because a face in this show could mean a returning companion. It could mean a beloved villain. Or it could mean something that sends fans into a frenzy. A Doctor we thought was gone, stepping back into the TARDIS. But here's where my theory gets weird, and I'm warning you, once I say it, you can't unhear it. What if this familiar face isn't someone we've seen recently, but someone from decades ago? Someone the BBC has sworn they'd never bring back. Someone whose very return would break canon. Unless, of course, you're willing to bend a few timelines. I'm going to connect this to a shadowy bit of filming news that nobody is talking about. And once you see the link, you'll understand why this announcement isn't just random hype. It's the opening shot in a much bigger game. So, let's pull at the first thread. Because when the BBC says, special project, they're not talking about a behind the scenes documentary. That's code. And if you've been in this fandom long enough, you know that BBC code language usually hides something they're not ready to admit. And here's the thing. This time, the trail doesn't start with a press release. It starts with a blurry set photo taken by someone who claims they accidentally walked past the location. Except it's not Cardiff. It's not even in the UK. I'm talking about a certain old film lot in Vancouver, Canada. Why is that suspicious? Because the BBC doesn't just pick up and move production halfway across the planet without a reason. Vancouver is where you go when you need to hide something or someone. And what's even weirder is the leaked call sheet that came out of that same location. Most of the names were placeholders, but one stood out like a Dalek in a petting zoo. Project Lazarus. Now, that name doesn't appear anywhere in the official announcement. But for hardcore fans, that's a loaded reference. Because Lazarus isn't just biblical. It's tied to a very specific episode from the David Tennant era. And the idea of someone coming back from the dead. Coincidence? Maybe, but here's where the puzzle pieces start to lock. The call sheet listed 2 actors with ND next to their names. In production terms, ND means non-disclosed, as in, we can't legally print their real names on this sheet because it would ruin the surprise. Usually, that means celebrity cameos. But here's where the fan theories go nuclear. What if one of those ND actors is a past Doctor? Not a quick cameo, but a full arc return. And before you roll your eyes, remember, we're in the post-B generation era now. The rules have changed. The BBC has effectively given themselves a cheat code to bring any past Doctor back without breaking the timeline. So when they say, welcoming back familiar faces, they could mean literally. Now tie this back to that vague line in the official statement, reuniting viewers with a legacy presence. Not actor. Not character. A presence. That's an oddly mystical way to phrase it, and trust me, that kind of wording is deliberate. It's meant to trigger nostalgia without giving away exactly who. But here's the kicker. A BBC source I've spoken to and yeah, take this with a pinch of salt, claims that this special project is not set during the current Doctor's run. It's a self-contained, prestige-style mini-series, the kind you can drop on streaming, binge in a weekend, and market like a cinematic event. And if that's true, it means the BBC isn't just making another spin-off. They're experimenting with parallel Doctor Who timelines. Why does that matter? Because the last time they tried something similar, with the 5-ish Doctors reboot, it was a one-off joke. This wouldn't be a joke. This would be canon. And canon that bends in 2 different directions at once. That's not just risky, that's franchise defining. And here's where I think the forbidden knowledge comes in. Because there's one name, one person, that fans have begged for, but the BBC has been too scared to touch for over a decade. If the Lazarus code name means what I think it does, we're not just getting a Doctor back. We're getting the Doctor who was never supposed to return. I'm gonna lay out exactly who that might be, the hidden reason the BBC could finally be ready to break that rule, and how this could set up the boldest crossover in Doctor Who history. All in the next section.